I think I am visible enough for everyone, and I'm audible too.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. And yeah, thank you, Anupa, for the intro as my senior. Yeah, thank you for that. And yeah, okay. So before starting the topic, I'll just get onto this thing. Okay, so as you can see here, that's my topic, tracing the trajectory of the portrayal of masculinity in Malayalam cinema. So, I mean, as many of my audience are Malayali speakers, so pardon my Malayalam, I am not so good into that. So, some words if I don't speak or pronounce correctly, so I'm sorry for that. But yeah, coming to the point, so mostly I'll be talking about the, as it's here, just a minute, okay. So, trajectory of portrayal of masculinity. So basically how masculinity has been portrayed over the years in the cinema, or specifically I'll be talking here about the Malayalam cinema. And mostly I'll be talking about the conditions of men, how they have been treated, how they are into this complete system of gender and mostly patriarchy. So yeah, okay, to start with. So the first thing I want to start with, it's an anecdote which I want you to hear, and then I'll connect this anecdote with the remaining points which I'll be talking about later. Okay, so I have this uncle in my neighborhood who has a son and a daughter. Both are well settled and married. So his daughter eventually with a good job, so she has her own job, her independent life, a car to drive, and she goes office to her in her own car and come back. So this uncle, he proudly says that now my daughter is independent in her own. She can go in a car on her own without a male accompanying her. And yeah, she's well settled. I'm happy about that. But at the same time, when his son he got kids, so he stopped the job and he took the household works. In household,
ഇതിനോടല്ലേ വിളിച്ചു പറയായിരുന്നു ഒന്ന് വരുന്നുണ്ട് കാണാറുണ്ട്
okay,
അച്ഛനെ അല്ല ഇപ്പൊ തന്നെ
people
വന്നേ
please mute your microphone.
അതാ വന്നേ
Okay, so these people, so now the son who has got the household jobs and he's taking care of his wife at the same time the kids in the house, and he is doing all the household chores. But surprisingly, as uncle is proud of the daughter, he is not the proud of his son for what he is doing now, because he has left his job, he is doing all the household chores, which was not expected of him. Now the question is, who is this uncle? Trust me, it's not in my neighborhood only, it's everywhere. The same guy who is everywhere. So it's good what's happening with the changes, that people are accepting the realities and one woman is improving. Of course, I'm not completely agreeing that they have improved or it has come equal. But yeah, as the things are improving, people are ready to accept the changes. But are they ready to accept the changes in men or in the masculinity? That's where my main focus is, how the masculinity has been treated so far, or in our Indian context mostly. So the first thing I want to start with, linear perspective of masculinity means, is we have studied feminism. There are various different types of feminism which we talk about, but when it comes on masculinity, there is a one typical understanding of masculinity that has been created, and that's how we see the people, everybody around us. The cultural concept of masculinity and all our present ideals of masculinity are more or less similar, and there's a different way, completely different look. That's These are the last two things which I want to talk about in my presentation later on. The way in which society looks at the men who want to change, or who doesn't want to stick to their typical social masculinity. So that's where my roughly ideas are. So to start it, firstly I want to go into what are the typical ideals of masculinity on which the masculinity is known for. So the four major domains which are normal, not in Kerala, not in Malayalam cinema or in India, but everywhere. So the first part of being a male or masculine is strength. That's what its attribution is. And strength means men are supposed to have the physical dominance and the strength in their own. That's where they will be called as masculine. And how they can prove it? By using violence, that's one. Risky behavior, and that risky behavior and violence in the later part of life gets into a poorer health outcomes. The second is household responsibility. Uh, the becoming father is one of the foremost important part for Indian social or the domestic reasons, where the family formation and the domestic roles. Becoming father is important for men because that's where, and the social attribute is as the head of the family. Once he is the head of the family formation and all the domestic roles are dependent on him, how he gives the roles to everyone else. And one other thing which I want to include here, the importance of being fathers, mostly not girls, but preferably to men, fathers of men, so that their authority can go to another males. The third thing is schooling. Why I am using schooling here, it's because mostly it's the adulthood, that's where the changes come in the man or woman or any of human beings. This is where the masculinity is shaping, whichever the way they want to choose or the sort of masculinities which they want to choose. So that's why this is where the making of masculinity happens for every man. And at last, profession. Profession is a big deal when it comes on the ideals of masculinity, because there are certain, the kind of nature and the acceptability of work into men, because their reputation is more or less is associated with the job they do. Because if you know anything around, like people, whenever they first meet to anyone, they simply ask, what do you do? Because based on that, they are going to have or pass a judgment on you and think of the kind of man you are. So these are major ideals of masculinity around which people go. The next thing is what most men try to. They try to make efforts to fit into these ideals of masculinity so that they will be called a man or a real man and something similar to that. So the first thing which people do to fit into these ideals of masculinity, it is the appropriate attitudes and behaviors which make them men. And what all the things that can be covered in this? First is risk taking. As a man, you're supposed to take risks. Second is enduring pain. The typical dialogue, if you remember, boys don't cry. So whatever happens with them, they are supposed to endure that pain, to be the tough guys. And independent providers. As a man, the most important thing, you're supposed to be independent and providers to your families. Secondly, to fit into the masculinity roles, they internalize the pressure to live up to the rigid ideals. Many men are facing these issues because they have to live with the pressure to confirm these ideals. And mostly this confirming the ideals is shown into the public performance. When they are into a public area, that's where if they show the masculinity, that's where they become the men. Third thing is how you can fit into it. It's being a hegemonic masculine man. And who are hegemonic masculine men? Who prefer heterosexuality, go with the marriage, authority over the family, and have a professional success in their lives. Coming to the next, efforts to be a real man. That's what the most typical part of getting into the masculinity. How you can become a real man. So one is alcohol and drug usage, which mostly we see are related to men specifically. Then hyper-masculine behaviors, mostly related to violence, and an enhanced social status, which they always want to keep because they are the men in the society. And the same, all these things, no, which when I'll be talking about movies, I'll relate with them. The next effort is the breadwinner and the protector of the family. Every man was born had the assumption in them that they are supposed to do these two jobs, the breadwinner and the protector of the family. And at last, I come to this point: the males who deviate from this such hegemonic masculinities, or the men who doesn't want to follow these ideals, what happens with them? That's the most problematic part. They are susceptible to a ridicule and critique. Most people, when they are not in following the systems or the ideals of masculinity, they get this idea of ridicule from the other males, from females, from everybody else who is around there. So now what happens, like when you're trying so hard and it should work for you, but when you put so much effort into it, then there are negative impacts of it too. First thing is toxic masculinity, which we are very familiar all around us. The kind of masculinity we see, or the kind of superiority of masculinity which people want to show, becomes a toxic masculinity. Next is the use of physical violence. When things are not in control, the last resort for a man is to use the physical violence to either control the family members or women or children or anybody else. That's the last resort which they have. Negligible health seeking behaviors. Many men, while in their youth and adulthood, when they are living into these ideals of masculinity, as I told you earlier, drug abuse or alcohol and all, which eventually come to their health seeking, like negligible health seeking behaviors. The next thing is, just because they are the head of the family or because they are a man, they take this whole sole decision making into their own hands of the house, which might not be in the right way always. And the most important thing which they suffer from is the strict emotional control, because boys are not supposed to cry. You can't show your emotional side to anyone, because then they'll consider you weak, and which is not a good sign for being a man. Other than that, males are generally discourages themselves regarding discussion regarding their problems, because even if they have problems, they have to face it and they have to learn from it. They can't go and discuss, because then again it becomes a sign of their weakness. And because of all these issues, men have a lower life expectancy than women and higher death and disability rates in them. Then comes to be or to fit into these ideals of masculinity. Homophobia is something which they always keep, because earlier, as I have told you, heterosexuality is something which they have to follow. And the worst problem of becoming these men, or the masculine men, it's like for them, women and children becomes the site of gender-based violence and sexual abuse. Because, I mean, so much literature and all what we have read, mostly we say it's the woman and the children who are on the side of victim, and men as the perpetrator. So now the thing is, when man is living in a world where, because of the efforts which he is trying to fit into these ideals of masculinity, they are giving him so many problems, then what's wrong with that? Why they don't want to change? Or what's the need of the time? How things can go better? So that's where my next point is: need of alternative masculinities. The masculinities which doesn't follow, or which doesn't ask us to follow the typical masculinities. So what can be these alternative masculinities? How these masculinities are, and how they can help men to be a better human? Okay, so the first thing is need of men to understand themselves as individuals, because for now and for years, whenever people talk about men, it's either in the comparison of, in the sense of gender, or their social and mental authorities. That's what he has been talked about. So now it's time when man thinks himself as an individual in the society with no roles particularly. Secondarily, the alternative masculinities will help us to give a gender equitable society where all genders will become equal. A better life away from clutches of patriarchy. Yeah, that's one of the most important part, because what I know of, and roughly that all around the ideas are, men, masculinity, and patriarchy are thought as one go. Because for whatever reasons we blame society and patriarchy, it's mostly the men to whom we blame. But the thing is, men need to understand, for others, we might be one with the patriarchy, but that's not the real. Man also is a sufferer of the patriarchy. Away from the cultural and social pressures of being masculine. These alternative masculinities can help you to be away from the pressures of being masculine, which lead to the violence and many other problematic things, which I just now talked about. And for a better mental and physical health of a person, it's always a better idea to have alternate masculinities. So now the thing is, as things are changing, I mean, of course, the change is slow of gender equal society I'm talking about. But as things are changing, women are changing, the ideology of them are changing. Of course, they haven't changed so far. Things are in the way, but still, the whole problem or the root cause of the problem lies into the masculinities. What if the man changes? How things will change? It might, I mean, the efforts which feminists are making, they may be half, okay? So for that, we need to get, to change the ways in which a man is looked at from both masculine and feminine perspective. How both men and women look at the man, the changing man. So that's where I come into the cinema. And the very basic reason I have chosen cinema is something which we associate our culture mostly with. Just give me a minute. Okay, cinema plays a very major role in making of any culture. And that's where, like, let's say in India, we have so many cinemas of every state and all. And mostly what these cinemas show culture of that particular state. So cinema has this major role in making of a culture because it is seen as a mirror to society. What happens, and this cinema and society both are reciprocal to each other. Means what happens in society has been shown in cinema, and what happens in cinema follows the people of the society. So they both goes hand in hand. And now how cinema impacts or how cinema plays a role in these ideals of masculinity. Because mostly when we watch cinema, that's where we see this kind of hero who we all want to be or we want to follow. So it becomes a major source of the ideals of masculinity. And what you're going to talk about today is this representation of masculinities or different sort of masculinities which we see in cinema. And how the presentation of masculinity in the cinema gives this impact, or how the audience get impacted by the representation of such masculinity in cinema. Okay, so for that particular reason, as most of my audience are Malayalam people who watch Malayalam cinema, so that's the very basic reason I have chosen Malayalam cinema for that. So going back to the Malayalam cinema with the history or the kind of portrayals of ideals of masculinity and femininity. So going with the 1980s, there was a blend of realistic portrayal and endorsement of toxic male hero. And these are some movies. I'm sorry, I won't be able to pronounce them properly, but yeah, you can see the names and all. By that, you can get the idea. So what happened in these movies, it's basically there was this toxic male hero who was having the complete dominance in the movie and the things around. And he could do whatever he wants to keep things going the way they are, or keep the society the way it is, in its very ideal form. The things didn't change much when we comes to 1990s, where heroines were the sidelines and alpha male heroes rose in prominence. And this was the time when these heroines were sidelined as becoming the good wife or good daughter or a good mother. And if they are not into this idea of becoming a good woman, then this male hero takes charge to teach them a lesson. And these are some examples of such movies where you can see representations like this. as things are progressing in 2000s, which was mostly the times of Mohanlal and Mammootty, when these superstars were crafted as demigod alpha males, and heroines were reduced just to an arm candy. Because if you see, this is the age where there was a big age gap between heroes and heroines of the movies. And yeah, these Nasimha and Big B are the two best examples for these superstars as demigod alpha males who doesn't make mistakes, who do all good for the society and for everyone. But the most important part which I want to see, or the in my presentation I want to talk about, is this contemporary cinema, this recent movie where these ideals of masculinity and femininity have changed. And these are the movies which are like Vartan, Ishq, Uyere, Kude, and Unda. These are the movies which I have seen in recent cinema, which have given us a complete different picture of being this typical man and woman and how things work around them. So I'll be talking mostly about this contemporary cinema. Okay, these five movies, if I take into account, the one most important and one common theme which I have seen in these movies, which were absent all around so far, is what's this crying hero is a common theme. Where at some points when he feels weak, he cries, or when he wants to cry, he does that. This is something a rare sight which is in our cinemas mostly happens. So for example, let's say if you go with the Varthan movie, okay? So there we see a gentle, kind and emotional and vulnerable male hero who doesn't have any issue with his wife working with him and himself working in the kitchen. Because when it's points, when you see in this movie also, when he gets tea for his wife and all, and the other male around see it in a surprise. Like, how can a man do that? Second is Uyere. In this movie, we see an aspiring woman and roughly two males around her in the movie. Both males have complete different opinions of themselves being a man and their role as a man and how they look towards a woman. Here, this one is complete toxic male, over possessive male who always want woman to do only limited things and tell her the truth, whatever she is doing, however she is doing, and keep complete control over the woman. And at one point, when the woman, according to him, the male, goes out of hand, he threw acid on her because out of his own insecurity. Whereas the other man, Tovino Thomas, if you know, so what he does in this particular, let's say, sense, that he allows this woman, okay, he is like, you do whatever you want. I mean, I am myself doesn't have a good own career, and I don't see myself as a hero. So, and anyway, I don't have anything in between you. You do whatever you want to do. So, complete different opinions of two different males. Next come Unda. The surprising part here is the always super cop playing roles, Mammootty. He represents here a pain-stricken middle-aged cop who is scared of death, okay? And he doesn't show any so-called their heroic approach. So this movie is mostly about a group of Kerala men or policemen goes to Bastar. And the very basic thing, if you see in this movie, most of the times all these male are scared. And at one point when he himself says in the movie, like when these people ask like, how are you? He simply says, I am scared. And being scared and emotional are part of life, and it's better we accept them as soon as possible. Then Kumlangi Nights. I'll be talking about these last two movies anyway in extension later on. But yeah, so here we see the kind of man who doesn't have any idea of, or who doesn't want to take the responsibility of the house, who doesn't want to be head of the house, or like who doesn't want to take any authority into their hands. And the last one, Kude, where we see a vulnerable hero who is always in a grief and who accepts rejection from a woman without keeping anything against her into mind. When she says a no, he accepts it as a no. We see a different kind of male, okay, who are not against women, who understand that they can cry, who accept the things which were not supposed to be accepted by them so far. So I'll be talking about typically these two movies, Kude and Kumlangi Nights, in the coming slides and all, and how the man has been represented in these two movies. Okay, to start with Kude and masculinity, that's my topic. So this is a movie where we see no typical hegemonic masculine characteristics in the hero. He's like any normal man who is so scared and everything around him. And the very first starting of the movie, when we started with, we see a suffering childhood, and later on when we see him becoming a man from a suffering childhood. So the very starting of the movies which we seen, he has gone to the Middle East just for earning, for the sake of her sister who was sick. So this idea of breadwinner and protector of the family and earning as a duty of the family. So these two things I'll be talking together. So he was taken out of the school when he was at 15. He was sent with his uncle to Middle East to earn for the family, because this was and he didn't refuse, or nobody thought of it. Is it right for him to send him away for a job? Because for everyone, this idea was very basic, that as a male he is supposed to take care of the family, that it of 15 years, 20, or whatever age it is. And that's the very basic reason. It's very simple. And he also accepted that because he see every man around him doing the same. They are the ones who are becoming this Broadway breadwinner of the families. So at a later part, if you remember, there was this dialogue by his sister Jenny. Either you do things for as a duty, or you do things out of love. So here he was not happy with the job he was doing, because we have always seen an anger part in him. Whenever somebody talks about job, about money, him going away, he shows this anger which is into him, that I don't know if I wanted to do that or not, but just because of to get into this idea of breadwinner, a protector of the family, I had to do that without any choice and without any questioning. And just because he has done this at the very till the age when he was here as a kid, we didn't see much of his life. But then when we see him coming back after 20 years, it's a complete different change in his life, or the way he was. Okay, and that's where my first idea comes: a victim of a child sexual abuse. See, it's never clearly have shown in the movie that he was a victim of child sexual abuse, but there was a sign in the very starting when his uncle takes him in the train, and the way he keeps his hand on his back and on his shoulder, it gives an idea. Interestingly, if you see it, there's nothing shown after this. Maybe the one possible reason can be male are not supposed to be victim of sexual abuse. Even if they are, they're not supposed to talk about it. They're not supposed to say it to anybody. And that's a very basic reason they are not represented as well. And this is one thing, he was always there. The anger we could see him in always. With this, how I get into this idea of child sexual abuse, because having sexual abuse like once or twice or many times, like you get afraid of the touch of anybody. And that's what we have seen visibly later on in the movie, where even his family members, when they try to touch him, he is scared. He doesn't want to go near them. That's where the next part comes, the silent and the fearful main hero. This we have seen. He was always silent and fearful because of the child sexual abuse which he had to go through. He created a fear of everyone around him. We don't know his life in the last 20 years. There's no idea about that. But we see a resultant of those 20 years now in this man, where on the very first scene when he gets to his own house and the dog comes in the house, and he is so scared even of the dogs, which I mean he already had with him, and this fear which has gone into him, he doesn't allow anybody to touch, he doesn't want to go near him, and that made him a silent person. So all this fear make him into this. As a resultant of this fear, he becomes this silent person. At one interesting point, when you see when his mother asks him, like, "Why do you want to go to job now?" So he clearly says it there that my family, even now, my earlier also my family was here, and now they are here. So there's no difference for me because that's my job. That's what I'm supposed to do, and that's what he has been doing so far. So he is not so happy about the job and the work he is doing. And the last, the emotional and crying hero, which we have seen at various points in the movie when he was emotional about it. And whenever he is emotional, he alone goes away and either drinks or cry himself out. Because being this man, as an audience, we can understand the pain he is going through. But nobody, no other characters in the movie could see him in like that way. And he didn't find anybody to whom he could talk to or he could go to. So it's become only in him whenever he used to feel, he used to go alone and cry. And the most important and the interesting point which I found in this movie, it's this: accepting rejection takes no from a woman is a no only. So that's very interesting when at one point of time when he goes to the Sophie's house and her family members are there and they ask like, did you come to take her? And he says, I'll take her only if she wants to come. She comes and tells him a no, and he leaves. That is a rare sight for me. I mean, it's not only in Malayalam cinema, in Bollywood, in other Indian cinema. That's a rare sight when she says a no, when hero knows the family is stopping her, and even then he leaves because that's what the choice. That's what the woman said. She says no means no, and he has simply taken it like that only, no other ways. So that's one of the most interesting thing I found in here. Coming to that, in this movie itself, there has been, which you have seen a contrast in the masculinities. There are multiple masculinities which have been shown in this movie. So when we think about other males who has been represented in the movie other than Joshua, are the male characters of the family of Sophie. How these male characters or the other males of society and their behavior towards women. So the examples best we can get from Sophie. So she was this independent woman who has her own job because she studied, so she wanted to be this independent woman, and she was trying to do that. The family got her married, and as she became the victim of domestic violence, she left and asked for a divorce to her husband. Now, the society is somewhat not so happy with that idea. A woman taking divorce. And at one point, if you remember, they says, see, I mean, it's okay sometimes when they do it. Or if a man had done it, there might have been a reason behind it. Means they always try to logically give a reason behind it. If any of you have watched this Bollywood movie Thappad, the recent movie regarding it, it happens sometimes. That's not normal. It doesn't happen sometimes, and that's one of a good point where Sophie has taken it to extent that she doesn't want to carry on the relationship, and the society is not so happy with it. Even her family members, they always talk wrong about her, that she has left her husband, she is here, people are looking at her. And on a later part, when there is an incident, so in night when she finishes her readings and when she goes out, the guy in the house, the Benjamin, he tried to touch her inappropriately. And then this senior member of the family comes in, and he doesn't say anything to the boy. He just send him away, and he tells Sophie that it was ought to happen. You are supposed to take care of yourself. If not this man, some other man will do it. So that completely shows a typical masculine ideals, which I just now talked about. How mostly they see as a woman too. That's what we see in the family members of Sophie. So there's this typical different types of masculinity which we have been or which we have seen in this movie. The point of understanding here is which male we want to go with, or which male we think it's a better option for a gender equal society, or which male if we go with or though we can think of becoming can take us to a better life. So that's about this movie. Coming to next, Kumbalangi Nights. I'm sure you all have been like, I want to watch this movie. So very interesting factors about this movie also. The first thing is this movie completely challenges the authority of men over women, because here we see women who are independent, who are there doing their own jobs, whereas males are not. They are roaming around freely just like that. India we see independent women around. Here we see men without the idea of support and head of the family, which we see mostly in these four members or the four brothers. None of these have this idea of doing anything for the family, for the house, or none of them want to be head of the family or taking any responsibility of it. Acceptance toward independent women. That's an interesting factor I found here. Even if the males are not they doesn't have any independent identity of their own, but still there is an acceptance toward this working woman who are around them. Like Bobby or the girl he is going with, she has a job or she is doing her job, but there was no question in the movie anywhere where he said anything about her job, like why are you doing it, do you want to do it or not, or nothing about it. So that's where I feel acceptance toward this independent woman and woman supporting male. So like whatever she's doing, they are going with the idea. And the most important part of the movie which I have seen or felt is mentally ill and emotionally vulnerable men, especially Shaji, the elder brother of the family. And once when he said something to Frankie, and then the other guy Bonnie comes in and beats him up, he doesn't feel good about it, and then he goes to his friend Murugan. He also discards him as a man, and then he tries to commit suicide because of the things that has gone into him, and he feels himself as not being able to do anything. And when he was trying to commit suicide, unfortunately the friend Murugan, he comes to help, and he end up died. This takes a toll on him, and he, from that time onwards, we see a complete change in the movie, the music of the movie. And at one point when he calls his younger brother Frankie and tells him like, I think I'm losing it now, I want to see a doctor. That's very rare to see in cinema or Malayalam or Bollywood or any Indian cinema, where a man is accepting the weakness in him, or he's saying that I'm done, I want to see a doctor, where I want to cry out. It's a very rare sight in the movies. And then that's where he later on goes to the doctor, and that's where he starts opening up, he starts talking about it. And there is complete scene when he's crying out loud. So that's a complete different sort of masculinity which we are looking at, where hero is crying for his own things, and he's not worried about anybody else other than him. Also we have seen this brother Bobby also crying when they talk about his father and the family, when the girl talks about it. And interestingly here, even the male is crying. Nobody has an issue with why you're crying, like the typical idea, boys don't cry, nobody says anything to them. So in one way this movie is pretty helping normalizing the crying males, which is a very good deal for it is. And in this movie also, when you see, there is a complete contrast of the portrayal with these four brothers and Shami. the other guy in the movie. So this portrait, when you see the very base starting intro of Shami itself, he is seeing himself and clearing his mustache, mustache itself becoming a sign of being a man. And once he is done with that, he see himself in the mirror, and there is this bindi of his wife on the mirror. He just skip or takes it away by the blade, which completely shows like he doesn't want any woman to be in between his and his view of masculinity. Other than that, there are many incidents when he tried to assert his authority in the house again and again. Like the very first example, when he is trying to start the bike and the football comes in his house. So the wife is standing here, then he calls the kid, and suddenly he starts his bike in such a way that makes his wife fearful. And he keeps on trying this thing in the house again and again. At a later part, when baby who is doing the job, so when she questions him or about his authority, there was this very interesting sector when there is this scene of dining table, and for the first time he calls all the women of the house. He intentionally, earlier, otherwise it was going typically masculine ideals where men eat first, woman eats later. But then he intentionally does it. In one way, you can say it as a change. But the point is, there was a specific reason for him doing that. He brought all three women together, and then the way he replaces his chair from side to the center of the table. And the look, the camera was amazing at that point of time. The look it gives to the movie, where all these three women are sitting and he seems to be head of the family. So there was this idea of asserting authority to himself, like at least he is feeling good that I am having the authority. Then he was completely against the household chorus, because at one point when they go to this his wife's uncle's house, so he simply talks to him, and while talking he says, when I first came here, then I started cooking, so all these people around me looked at me as a man like with disgust. How can you cook and all? And I ignored them. So you also ignore them. And then he gets angry. Like, I'm earning nicely. Why should I do the household chores? So this typical idea is that his intention of saying it, this was the idea of work of a woman, and only woman should do that. I'm earning, that's my job, and that should be enough of it. Then for him, the third part, economic independence, is the most important thing. As we talked in the earlier, earning or breadwinning is the duty of a man. So when Bobby and Saji goes to him to ask him if they can marry baby, the first thing he asks, like, what do you do? Or do you have any job? Later on, he says to baby also that if he can have a job equal to me, then I'll allow it. So economic independence, being a man, it becomes very important. And the later part, which we see, moral man, which he was trying to be. When in the homestay which he had, so when Bonnie and Naila, he found both of them in the house. So he threw them out, and then when baby tries to go against, simply telling him that this is not fair. But he says, you woman doesn't have any issue with that. People will come and tell me. It becomes my responsibility to take care of you. So he himself is assuming that taking care of all these three women of the house is his idea. And yeah, that's what is going on throughout the movie, where he has shown in the typical male, and at last we see the best example of it when these women are against it. He tied all these women and threw them under the bed, which the other four brothers later on rescued. And yeah, the last part of it is the contrast in the houses of both, where at one point when this man was, Sami as a man was head of the family, his house was covered from all four sides. Whereas when you see these four men, the four brothers, their house was open. There's no head of the family. There's no issue of anybody coming and going in. A kind of independence when you see of it. So here also we see one typical portrayal of masculinity, at the same time the other four masculine or the men who are not so masculine, you can call it. So that's my analysis of these two movies roughly. Now coming to the conclusion part of it, what I want to generally talk about that how we have seen these two different sort of representation of masculinities, and why the things should change. It's because when you see men mostly end up in being the preparators because of masculinity and its ideals. Because men are mostly the preparators of all the sort of violence that happens around or on women, on children, on men themselves. That's first thing. Secondarily, it's high time when men need to understand patriarchy as a double-edged sword, because when they are trying to follow the typical men in patriarchy, then of course they are harming women and children. But the worst part is they are not understanding that they are harming themselves as well, being into this idea of patriarchy. This man needs to understand that psychological trauma, like we have seen in these two movies. The second movie, when he has understood and he has accepted it. In first, even that couldn't happen. And the good part in these two, that at least these two men understood and agreed with it. Otherwise, men don't even agree for the psychological traumas they are going through. And that's where there comes the need and use of alternative masculinities, which, or let's say all these 3-4 things. So in conclusion, which I want to end today's webinar, the point is, as we have seen, there are typical ideals of masculinity, typical ideals of femininity, and Judith Butler said the gender roles which we have to perform, which we have to try to fit into, which generally people do. But we have done long enough and it has come off as no use. It's problematic for each of gender. So when we are looking for a more gender equitable society, what we need to look for alternative masculinities. And a man who doesn't believe in these typical ideals of masculinity, or who doesn't want to be follow these masculinity, because it's high time when men themselves need to analyze them and their role in the society, and they need to understand what patriarchy is doing to them, because they are getting, end up becoming the preparators, because according to women and children, yes, they are the ones, and according to patriarchy, if they are changing, they are doing wrong. So they need to understand and change the concept of masculinity for them. So yeah, that's it from my side. Thank you everyone for your patient listening. Now I'll hand it back over to the people who are into it. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And if you have any doubts, you can post it into the chat so that sir can answer it.
Yeah, okay. If any of you have any questions, yeah, you can ask me here. I'll try to answer them. Okay, this one of yeah, my North Indian student is asking what's the meaning of name Kude. It's basically, I think it's neighborhood, right? If I'm not wrong. Any Malayali speaker, please help me out. It's neighborhood, right? Or the person who is right next to you. Oh, sorry. Yeah, together. Thank you, Anupa. It means together. Okay. Any other people? Any other questions? Anybody else? Seems you understood it all, or you're okay. Yeah, of course. This one person is asking, we have characters with disability as a hero. Hasn't it changed the concept of masculinity? Of course, it has changed. Then the typical male heroes with six pack and abs and all that. When we see a hero with disability, of course, that's a good change, and we should look forward for more changes like this. Anyone else? Okay. Will cinema be same after COVID, and will there be an impact in the portrayal of characters? Uh, I don't know if there will be much changes in the because of COVID in the gendering of processing, but yeah, impact of it will be sure. I think not only in the cinema. I mean, we'll see a complete different lifestyle from now onwards, because as you have seen now, no, people are scared of each other now. So maybe in cinema, I'm not sure, or let's in gender, I don't know if people will think or it will affect in any way. But yeah, in now normal lives, yes, we'll see different after COVID, I think. How do you expect how do you expect women to behave when they are victimized? See, primarily, I'm not the one who should tell it to anybody that how should they expect to behave. It's their choice. Always, they are the ones who should decide for themselves. I understand the victimizing part here, but still, you need to change the things, and you need to change the understandings of the people who are around you. Are there racial changes in masculinity, white versus black masculinity? Of course, the masculinity itself has this very typical idea, and everything else like the caste, class, gender, or let's say color, all that matters. White masculinity has always seen itself as superior than black masculinity, or high, like when you talk about class wise, a high class masculinity always seen themselves better than a worker class masculinity, or a upper caste masculine always seen themselves as a better man than the Dalit man. So yeah, all this masculinity works in all these sectors as well. How men become the sufferer of patriarchy? Can you explain it once more? Okay, yep, that was the main idea, how men become sufferer. Because see, patriarchy, like it gives these ideals to women that you should behave in such and such particular manner. Don't you think it's the same with men also? They also need to behave in particular manner. Now when you compare it with women, then things are better for men, but it doesn't mean that men doesn't have to follow themselves into or trying to fit into these ideals. And in order trying to fit into those ideals, they create problems for themselves, like the kind of masculinities which we have seen. They are typically problematic for anyone, and they people follow or do these or kind of represent this sort of masculinity because they have this pressure of patriarchy. So that's why they are becoming sufferers. Because let's say when you talk about riots, for example, in riots mostly it's men who are killing other men. Of course, women are the victim, women and children are the victims, but preferably it's the men, because they go in front, because patriarchy has told them they have this idea of protection, which on an individual level many men don't want to, but when it comes on social and public they have to. So these are some examples when patriarchy tells men also to go ahead when even when he doesn't want to. So that's where they are also sufferer, and they are trying to become this head or all these roles. When they are trying to play in the patriarchy, it's harming them because they are not been able to connect well with the woman, and so women themselves are blaming men, and man himself is blaming him. So patriarchy is doing with him. So that's where I call them sufferer of patriarchy, and they need to understand it, that they have to get away from the patriarchy. And the next is, does the transformation of masculinity through ages made any progress in our film industry. I didn't see much of the changes till 90s or 2000, or let's say 2010. But now I see, I mean, of course, even the typical movie or the mainstream movies even now are going the same way. But yes, even then there is this parallel cinema that has been coming up with this change in the ideals of masculinity, like the 4 or 5 movies I have told you the examples of. So that's where I see there is a change. Of course, it haven't completely changed the idea of masculinity, but yeah, there is a change in the ideals of it with recent movies, not earlier. Uh, Even now, superstar play the characters with disability like Shahrukh. But if a real person with disability play that character, will it be accepted? Yeah, that's a thing which even now needs to be changed. Because even when they try to show a disabled man, they take a perfect man and shows him disabled, which needs to be changed because that's where it shows a real idea of personality, of course. How do you explain the movie Thappad from your presentation point of view? Okay, so that's, of course, yeah, it completely gets into my presentation because as I was talking about the toxic masculinity at one point of time, the problematics of being a masculine. That's what we have seen in this movie, where the hero he hits the woman and he's not ready to acknowledge that point till the end of the movie. So that's one of the things which these males they're doing the things. And remember that one dialogue which I told you that they might have done it for a reason, and according to the men, it's a good reason, which is not true all the times. So that's where I put the Thappad movie because there we see a kind of typical masculine which he was trying to be, and that way it goes because the woman took a stand for her own. A theory of masculinity in crisis has emerged. The crisis has also been attributed to the questioning of male dominance and rights granted to men solely on the basis of sex following the feminist movement. Yeah, that's very problematic. I would also agree the masculinity in crisis. Example, if I would give of this, is the laws in this country, if you would look at that. So, and the typical laws like domestic violence, sexual abuse. See, I completely agree. It happens with mostly with the women of the country. But even when you see these laws are a bit biased, but I would feel towards women because they doesn't take any opinions of men over them. And all this has happened because of this history of male dominance over the years, which has been coming up so like this. So of course, that way this male are into crisis, and the crisis can only be solved only when men understand it in themselves that they are going on a wrong path. And that's what whole idea of my presentation. It's high time when men needs to understand in them that they are on a wrong path. And because of this, because of the masculinity of few men, mostly other males are suffering too. And what is next? Costume designing movie Charlie has also helped in redefining hero nations, right? Yeah, I would agree with Charlie. The definition of hero and the costume designing, of course, it completely gives a different picture away from the typical heroes which we see in the movies. In Varthan, the character of Fahad is a metrosexual man, but at the end he is elevated to the role of normative man as the protector of Priya. Don't you think the woman has a major role in sustaining normative manhood? Because in this movie we can Priya talking about her father as a so that's where at one point, if you see, remember I have mentioned how both men and women see this masculinity, because Vartan is the best example of that. So it's not only men who is creating these issues for men. We need to understand or think of this idea that women also think or assume men like that. Like the best example can be Vardhan, where she simply, because he was being a man who was being good and who didn't think of other men as bad. But then there was this point when she has this sexual abuse, and when she comes and she tells him simply that if my father would have been here, that would not have been the case. So then she also wants him to be the typical man, and that's where the problem comes in. Like that's a really a typical point where both the genders need to think that the change is needed, and both should make efforts from their side to accept and agree with the changes. Okay, next person has two doubts. First one is that there are certain ideas that make a man at the same time when you try to deviate from the so-called masculine. How does society view them? Second is, can we dream of a gender-ridden society, or does men will remain same as men and woman is woman? Do these masculine ideals exist to make gender distinctions? Okay, so the first thing is deviation. That's a very big problem, like for both men and women. Then, for example, being men, if I am trying to deviate from my, people are not so ready to accept it. Like the very first anecdote I have told you, when man is trying to deviate from his roles, society doesn't see them. So that's where the thing comes that, see, we are talking about these things, let's say especially the student of English literature, but for the other world, things are working as they are. And but the thing is, we need to see the change. It's very slow, because when you think of the point when earlier there was a point when women are not supposed to study, but then some people have started, some started, and now slowly things are getting better. So maybe at some point, but from ourselves, we need to think of change of ideals of these things and how we follow them. And the second is, can we dream of gender-ridden society? I don't know if any near that point will happen, but still we can hope for a better society, because as things are changing now, means there's a process of transition which we are seeing. So of course that's very slow, but I believe things will change, because as both men, I mean, some men are like with the good education and all, they are trying to change, or they are understanding that there is a problem in themselves. So once that acceptability comes in men and women both for their own roles, then yes, there is a possibility of changing things, which will, I believe, at some point, I'm hopeful that it will happen. Is it possible for men to come out of from traditional concept of patriarchy, which does not suit in the present modern era? It's completely possible, but as a man, they need to agree with it. Firstly, they need to accept themselves, not as a man particular, but as an individual in the society. And once you start to consider yourself, not with these gender norms, but like any other individual in the society, then yes, I think there is a chance where things can get better. But more than you can agree with your gender, you have to agree with yourself as an individual first. Then yes, things can help. The next is, the most toxic masculinity is conveniently linked to the psychological and traumatic past. It was so at least in Uyar and Kumlengi. What is your take on it? Toxic masculinity, I mean, I am not clearly getting your question, but still I'm trying to, let's see if it goes what you have exactly asked. So of course, this traumatic part comes with the problematic and the toxic masculinity. I mean, I am not justifying it, but for what I have seen in movies and all, how people justify it, because if they have felt or experienced a traumatic past, as a resultant of it, they do it later. But I would say that's a wrong practice. If something wrong has happened with you, if you are continuing it, then there's nothing, I mean, you can do. The point what we're talking about is to improving. The masculinity we have seen If we have understood that is harmful, it's our responsibility that we need to change it. I don't know if I could answer you, but what I could understand, from the question I tried it. Okay, can you shed some light on different masculinities, hegemony, subordination, marginalized, and compliance? Okay, this hegemony of masculinity is like when you're trying to follow the typical ideals of masculine, being a man, like as Shami guy shows, like being this man, the perfect man. The worst problem with this masculinity and its ideal is there is no man who is perfect, because these ideals are something which are not to be achieved, and people are always in this race of achieving it, which I don't know where will it end, and I don't think there is any end. It's like these ideals of Plato, which are there as an ideal world. None of people can achieve it, but everybody is running to achieve it, and that's one of the things, like in that race they are not trying to understand themselves as a man, which I see as a major problem. Have you noticed any shift in the way LGBTQ are portrayed in the films? Of course, most of the movies, that's a very problematic portrayals of LGBTQ, because as I told you in this masculinity, what we prefer or what everybody, I mean, in the preferences of people, it's the heterosexuality. And when it goes on heterosexuality, and one thing also I mentioned, homophobia. So that's a constant, it's there. People don't want to talk about homosexuality, and they are not much comfortable, especially the men who try to become this ideal male or female. They both are scared of homosexuality. So neither the typical man or woman want to talk about it. So that's where, when it comes on the movies, there is very least and very poor representation, I would say, of LGBTQ has been done so far. Can you talk about queer theory when it comes to breaking heteronormative roles to men? Of apologies. Of course, yeah. I would completely agree that because of this heteronormative rules, both men and women have made mistakes by, like, primarily I would say, of accepting itself. I mean, till recently, even now also, the court has agreed. Even now, as a society, I don't think we have agreed with it. But now, so think of it, even the legal system has recognized it over so many years. So as a society, how more years it will take. So of course, that's a sorry feeling, or there should be an apology to it. But I don't know which man is ready to do it. But for now, I think more than apology, what we can do is an acceptability to these people. And the more acceptability we give, I think the apology will come on the way on its own. And where else? Okay, I'm just seeing the questions because I missed somewhere. Yes. Why the men in the movie called perfect and the four brothers not so masculine? What's your idea of being perfect man? See, I don't have any idea of anybody being a perfect man. That's what I just now talked about. There's this ideals of being a perfect man, which everybody is trying to. But that's not there. Nobody reaches there. Nobody is in the following. So everybody is in the race to reach there. It's like success, okay? See, until you run, you will see there's a point which is there. But unless you understand it, it's within you. If at any point, if you stop and you think, yes, you are succeed, then yeah, you are there. So that's the same with this masculinity itself. So for four brothers, that sort of masculinity is okay and they're living with it. But for Shami, that's not okay. And he is not ready to live with it. So every day, which he is trying to assert his masculinity. The examples I told you about the table and all. So when he is not been able to see the masculinity or the assertive or the head of the family, he tries to show it through different ways, like the toxic masculinity you can say about it. Traits traditionally viewed as masculine in Western society include strength, courage, independence, leadership, and assertiveness. It is marked by economic, political, social expectation that men seek and achieve dominance. So, of course, yeah, these ideals of masculinities are related to the overall dominance, and the most importantly, dominance through power. So, these being a man who is economically sound, physically strong, and mentally, so all this makes him a perfect, when the idea of perfect, because he is good in all these things, and when you're good in all these things you have the power, and with power comes the dominance. So and this idea is same, let it be the West, East, or India, or Malayalam, or anything else, it works the same. With power comes the dominance, and yeah, mostly that's what they have done. Next is, as you said earlier, I truly agree with you there. Patriarchy set various positions for male too in the family. As a female, and Pude in the which Joshua, his shattered dreams, alienation, and all that. Yeah, of course, Pude, when you talk about it, imagine this guy as a man, as a 15-year-old kid. What about his dreams, his plans, his life, what he wanted to do in his life? Everything is gone just because he has to fill up this idea of being a masculine. Means he has to become the breadwinner of the family, even at the age of 15 if needed. And that's a very problematic representation, because of which he has suffered throughout the movie in the later part, which we have seen. So yeah, that's true. Can you kindly suggest the names of some films where men are being teased by women for not conforming to traditional stereotypical gender roles? See, one is, I told you the example of Vartan, and then I don't remember exactly the movies, but I can tell you some typical dialogues where female itself of the house says like, I mean, what are you being? Being as the male of the family, you should feed your kids. Like when there is a poor, I mean, husband and wife, if the movie or the character in the poor setup, so yeah, she tells him like, if you can't feed your kids, why you have so many kids, or typical things like that. I right now I don't know if I can think of any particular movie, but yeah, later on if you want I can tell you. I mean, if I ask, you can ask Anupa and tell her some movies where their things are like that also. For now, I can give you the example of Vartan here. There are still a group of people who admire Shami from Kumlangi Nights as a real hero and glorifies his action. Views regarding masculinity seems hard to get changed. Of course, it's very hard. That's what I say. Heroes like him gets this glorification mostly by men. And as I told you at one point, is schooling. Okay, so that is schooling and college goes together, and mostly it is these people in their adulthood, when the things are changing and when they are trying to change, they see these masculinities as their ideals, and when they see these heroes completing what their ideals are, they glorifies it. That's what happens. But that's very problematic view, which they need to think about it. Okay, yeah. What are your opinion about his masculinity in movies? I would say that's very problematic representation in the movies so far, because of these ideals of visible masculinity has gone into people. Because as I told you, it's very reciprocal to culture. People are very much tend to follow the movies. The way that hero has done in the movie, we will try to do it in in our own houses, and that's what people have been doing, and that's very problematic. Like they are trying to be the hero which is in the movie, but they are not the ones. But yeah, that's very hegemonic masculinity, I would agree. That's the movie in all the movies mostly they have shown. But I hope hopeful for the movies which have been coming now, because the mainstream cinema is still like that. But yeah, then there is a parallel cinema where things are changing. In Kumlangi Nights, we can see how different men articulate masculinity. There is hegemonic masculinity, Shami, subordinate masculinity, marginal masculinity depicted. Shami, the hegemonic masculine, man act as the protector of morality. He can't even smile for a photo for marriage function. He constantly saves his mustache. Can you please talk about it? Yes, of course. Sami, there are various places as I have mentioned in this also, where he does this intentionally because he want to portray himself as the man, the perfect man, and he does everything in his control to possibly do it. A very simple example, no, when I told you about the bike thing, the very first, the way he starts his bullet bike, just to make the kid fearful at the same time his wife. It serves two purposes for him, and that's one of the simple reasons these kids later on never went to his house just to get the ball, or they stopped playing football just because of kind of masculinity he has shown. And he was at points again and then again he was trying to assert that kind of masculinity. Some films show the extreme stage of misogyny for showing the heroism of the central character. And also those films are becoming a big hit, like Kabir Singh. Why is that? Uh, that's mostly the mentality of the people, I would say, because primarily it goes wrong. Like when that's what we have been. I mean, I don't know psychologically how it works, but at some point, I have read somewhere like this is we are looking in movies what we don't have. Okay, so a man on his own trying, he can't be like a Kabir Singh or other hero. So they are happy to see their representation in the movies. But at the same time, I would say the representation of such heroes is very problematic because this guy, I mean, Kabir Singh, it's completely misogyny. It's a typical form they have shown, and the other movies also who has completely shown is, I would say, there is very problematic in representing such heroes because right now many youth, especially people, are learning from that, and that's not a right way to grow the kids up by watching movies like this. Too many started concluding that women empowerment is a cause of high divorce rates in India. Is it because of giving too much voice to feminism? What could be your instance on this? I would say it's not because of the woman empowerment and divorce rate. I would say it's divorce rates. Let it be go high. The point here is to understand is divorce rate doesn't mean there are problems of women in the marriage. That's where divorce happen. It can be men as well. Like in this movie Kuda we have seen, Sophie wants a divorce because the husband beats her. So the woman empowerment is not the cause here. It's basic. Human has understood her value and she's valuing herself. So what's the wrong if she wants to divorce? So it's not because feminism has got a voice. That's great that feminism has got the voice and women are coming up. So that's good. I mean, it's not that it's not against our women empowerment should be there. And I don't think divorce rates have anything to do with women, because if man is wrong, they are wrong. So that's what it is. And what else? Do you think that the movies for ages were negative portrayal of masculinity? See, for men and for their masculinity, their portrayal was according to that. But as an audience to understand that masculinity, it was wrong because they always shows this hero. I mean, killing 10 men, 20 men, and all, which in general doesn't happen. No. So the problematic is people that far do understand that it can't happen and they don't try to follow it. But when it comes to these ideals of masculinity and all, they think they can follow. That's very problematic from the understanding of the movies itself. Like they understand half of it, which they know can't happen, so they agree with that. But then when it comes on gender, they think it can happen because they think they can show what I said, not the violence. It comes like that. So either woman has to agree. If she doesn't agree, we can use violence. So that's where that's very wrong representation. And in movies, no, we haven't seen much where woman shows something in reciprocal. So that's where people get the idea like we can do this, and that's very wrong to understand. And yeah, on their part, it's very wrong for cinema also to represent such characters. Most of the violent characters depicted through men, psycho characters. Why the film industry not choosing female characters for such role? Of course, I would love that suggestion that next time they would have a psycho character or the killer who is a female. Because the problem with this, no, violence is associated with only men. So let it be a psycho killer or let it be typical hero or villain. Violence has to be there in the movie, which mostly the movies have shown. And the doer of the violence should be the men, because that's a typical idea of being a man, because only they can do the violence. So they are thinking if they have to make the female character the one who is doing the violence, then they need to change the definition of violence, and that will be too much for them, which I think they don't want to do it. So maybe because the female association with violence is very rare. Even let's say there are some female characters who are main villain in the movies, but when it comes on violence, they hire people, they hire men to do the violence, or there are men for her to do the violence. So she doesn't have this direct access, because for them, woman and violence are two very different cases. They're not supposed to go together in any way. Let it be not as a hero or let it be a villain in any way. Violence is not associated with them, so they don't want to associate anymore. Why is toxic masculinity important for films? Because that's what the filmmakers think, that this will give them good money, because people come there to watch action. And I don't know if that's not a right approach, of course, but that's what mainstream cinema goes. Because when it talk about the change, there are very few people. But when you want to go with the typical ideas, there are not. So from the economic perspective, when they see the producers and the directors, I think that's where one of the reasons for them it becomes to produce a toxic masculinity. For toxic masculinity, and abusive past becomes the reason and the excuse for the hero's later action. What about the woman who undergoes the same childhood problems? Their action are still presented as mostly wrong and illogical in movies. Of course, that's a very wrong representation. I would have said that also. That's true. I agree with you that the past actions of a hero, they become an excuse for him becoming the toxic masculine or excessive violence. See, a problematic childhood is there, but by any chance it doesn't allow you to become the problematic. As I told earlier also, that if something has happened with me, if I am doing the same, then yes, there's nothing much that has been changed. That we should not do that. So that's where it goes wrong. So yeah, of course, and most movies that doesn't show like the problematic childhood of woman, and so for them, women go with it. They accept it and they understand it and they change it. But men can't do, because they are the typical idea of taking revenge and all. So that's what I said. It's men, they need to understand it. They need to see changes or things from a very different perspective, which they have not been seeing so far. Because then only things can be like, what we are thinking of a gender equal society that comes into existence. So yeah, that's for you. Masculinity refers to anxiety felt by the men who believes they are falling short of cultural standards of manhood. The precariousness of manhood can create anxiety among males who can feel that they are failing to meet cultural. Of course, that's very much problematic when these men, when I told you, the trying to fit into the setup. So it's their understanding. The first thing is they need to understand why they don't, why they even want to fit into the standards. Because as long as they're trying to become this masculine, they're creating more problems for themselves, which they really need to understand. Do you think the self-damage inflicted by the notions of toxic masculinity on mental health of men is one of the reasons that accounts for his lower life expectancy when compared to women? Yeah, of course, that's one of the very basic reasons. In the very first, I told you, poorer health outcomes. it's because of this toxic masculinity in the adulthood and in the ages of 30s and 40s, because of which by the later parts of the life, the ideals of risk taking and doing extreme things, it becomes problematic for the later part in their lives. And that's the reason I have mentioned that poor health outcomes, and of course this is a very basic and important reasons for their lower life expectancy than women. Is it complaints type of masculinity and alternative form of masculinity? Okay, see, when I talk about alternative form of masculinity, firstly, I want to clear there is no one alternative masculinity which you will find for this. What we need, like many feminisms, we need various masculinities, and which are there, which exist there. It's just that we need to accept the masculinities. Let's say in Kumbalangi Nights, no, in all these four brothers, there is no similar masculinity. At one point, when you say Bobby forcefully tried to kiss baby, right? So that's not a good masculinity or the alternate. No, that's not. But what I'm talking about, it's alternate is not one. There are masculinities, a list of, which we need to understand. Because when you talk about masculinity, there's only one idea, typical idea, and that's very wrong, primarily to understand masculinity. Because everyone doesn't follow those ideals of masculinity at first, and secondly, these ideals doesn't work for everybody. So alternative is not one, but there are many masculinities which we need to look for. And these can go with the men according to their own choices and all. Yeah, any more questions, people? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, how about we wrap it up now?
Okay, that's your choice. I think if questions are done, I'm okay with that.
Do we have any more questions? If not, we'll wrap up the session. Okay, I think the session was very enlightening, and yeah, I thank you, Ram, for giving your valuable time to enlighten community like us. And I would also like to thank Tony sir for his technical supervision and advice. And I thank you all for joining us today, this Sunday morning, and I hope you all found it enriching. And thank you, everyone, and have a great day.
Okay, thank you everyone for being here.
Thank you, Ram.
Okay.